That'll never get used.
Grandpa Wormhunter, you're okay.
Well, we were talking earlier about if they're going to do Kingdom Hearts 4, how many years do we have to wait? I said, well, yeah, they will get Xemnas out of his wheelchair.
There's DLC coming this thing.
Yeah.
Like 15 years, you know what I mean? 15 years, 7 games, Kingdom Hearts 4.
The Everything Digimon panel will begin in T-minus 59, 58, 57, 36, 54, 53.
You're such an emperor.
52, 51, 50, 49.
He's really going to do this.
So perils of
I
dialogue.
was going to do this before you started. Just like it's not.
43, 42,
This is what we
41,
get.
40, 39,
I tried.
37,
Stop the madness that is Derek Stephen Prince. Stop the madness.
34,
Wind him up, make him go
33,
faster.
32,
Oh, he's getting like I wound him.
30, 29, 28,
Part 12,
27,
kids, this is what we had to deal with 56K.
24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15.
Oh, dissing me!
10,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
Let's get ready to Digiball!
Okay, now wait.
I mean, Paul can start.
I didn't realize you were going to come back to it.
Like, you want to talk about Digimon for like
Tell everybody what you did in
2
Digimon.
minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes after barter.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Yes, I would like to tell you about all the Digimons I did, but I can't remember. There were so many. My
You made
main
a poster
characters
with
on
like a
the,
whole bunch of them with him.
my main characters were in. I did seasons 1 through 4 as Leomon.
Yeah!
Everybody know the series in here? Anybody not know the series?
Raise your hands, be
Get
honest.
out of here! I'm kidding. This is why you come to these. So,
Be supportive.
okay, thank you. Being supportive, good. And thank you again for getting up and leaving on the way. My main character in all 4 of the seasons that I did was Leomon. Came back again and again as Saber Leomon, Ice Leomon. I've died many times. The first time my character got killed, I went, another one? My God. Because that's in it is my history in anime. I have more character. I have an obituary list and practically an anime graveyard because so many of my characters, starting with the first one in Robotech, my very first show, my character got killed. It was the last episode he was in, but the others just got to walk away. I blew myself up in a spaceship. You know? I did not realize that was a trend. Because it's just on and on and on. Characters get killed, shot, blown up. You know, I did Sorbet in Dragon Ball Super, right? And they didn't tell me that I was going to die. I came in for the episode and I only had 3 cues, and the third one was falling dead with a bullet through my head. I said, but it was, oh, I'm sorry, should we have told you? Yeah, that would have been kind of nice, you know? So when Leomon got killed the first time, I said, not again. They said, don't worry, he's digital, he'll be back. And you come back for the next episode as though nothing happened. Oh, here I am, I'm Leomon back. So Saber Leomon and later on Ice Leomon, all these different things. My sweetest little character was in season 2 only, and that was Wormmon. I was Wormmon.
Hey, Wormmon!
I had a good time, you know. I didn't want to bother anybody else, but he was my emperor. I say one of my favorite lines from the entire series was one of the first ones I had. The phone rang, I picked it up and said, yes, hello. Oh, for the Digimon Emperor. Line 1 for you, sir. And the director just went like, oh my God. I said, that, by the way, was a voice I created before that, but I'd never used it or anything. I just, I thought, wouldn't it be funny if, you know, a cop pulled somebody over and got out the handcuffs and says, you're under arrest. And so when I saw the copy and the picture with those big eyes and the way the copy was written and how sad and pathetic he was, I thought, I'm going to use that voice. I don't know if they'll pick it, but that was the audition voice that I did. And it took them forever, because we normally hear like within a week or less. Yeah, you're on, and we're going to schedule you and things like this. Weeks and weeks and weeks go by, and then just out of the blue, it was Paul DeFranco at that time. Big Paulie was the boss. And Big Paulie calls me and says, oh yeah, the people at Fox, they loved your worm on. They loved it. I said, well, thank God I was going to move, you know. So now I'm going to be in the show. Okay, great. But I did quite a few. Kiwimon, one episode or two, and I think Apocalypse and Devimon and stuff like that. And we also changed our voices so we could. Thank you so much.
Food.
And every time I get hungry, I like to have burritos. Little commercial plug there.
You're welcome.
I gotta feed him, otherwise he kills over.
Yeah. I might do
Watering
it.
twice a day, turn one
Or
My
you
son
try
was
to
not
put
60
something
to 0
else in
something.
that's like not a pretty sight, so.
But yeah, honestly, the ones that I remember would be Leomon, Wormmon, Apocalypse, and of course we Digimon to Stegmon, and then from there we got to do the same Digivolution, and joined our voices, characters, Imperial Dramon.
Imperial Dramon and Pyodramon.
Because
Yeah.
you were Beamon.
Huh?
Because you were Beamon.
Yeah. So, I always like to challenge myself in going back. Oh, by the way, happy anniversary! Digimon Adventure 1. So, obviously, in the first season, I was Pipemon, Devimon, and Digitomamon. Season 2, I was obviously the Digimon Emperor / Ken, Demi-Vmon, Vmon, X-Vmon, and then the other two. Season 3, I was Impmon and Beelzemon.
Right.
Season
Oh my God.
3.
Beamon, really?
Yes,
that was it.
Beamon?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was it. God, he does half the show.
And then season 4, I was Grumblemon.
Oh.
And then season 5, I was not in because it didn't exist. Can I say that out loud?
No, they did season 5. We didn't exist for them.
Right.
We talked about that on text. I said, I never even got a Walla session. Nothing.
Yeah.
And season 5, what about? Huh?
Nothing. Yeah. And then season 6, 7, which was part 1 and part 2 of Digimon Fusion. I played Jeremy, and then came back as Jeremy in the second part, but also did Zeilzmon. So, there you go.
I didn't do those ones.
Alright, anything in Digimon Try?
I did nothing in Digimon Tri, that was just him.
Yeah, Leomon came back.
Yep.
So there.
So there. Oh, and the most important person in the movie, the Digimon movie that came out, which was like the tie-in between season 1 and season 2.
The 3 movies put together?
Yes, the 3 movies that were put together.
Incredibly confusing.
This man was so forgotten, and I was so upset because if it hadn't been for this man, everybody would have died in the movie. I mean, because when everything starts going to chaos, and the Digimon start coming out into the Earth's atmosphere. It's like there was one guy that basically provided food to everybody, because without him, everybody would have starved to death, and now he's the pizza guy.
Next time you call Domino's, remember that.
That's right. That's right. So that's it. So I started this about a year and a half ago, and am grateful every time I get to be with this man.
Likewise.
Because it's always better, and you get more stories than just the ones that I have to tell. Although I've got a ton of stories from stuff through the years, but wanted to make this obviously for you guys. You guys are all the fans of Digimon, and we're grateful to you. So thank you for coming to the panel.
Absolutely. The loyalty.
Absolutely amazing. I feel the love. So wanted to open it up. If there's any specific questions that you guys had going through the entire season, we may not be able to answer everything because we can only answer stuff as it relates to when we were in the recording booth. We're not going to be able to tell you stuff as it relates to the entire story of Digimon. But we can certainly do our best to answer questions as it relates to stuff that may have involved either one of us or both of us together. So I wanted to open it up to you guys first before I start telling stories.
One of the things that I actually heard was that Fusion almost canceled the series. Is that actually true?
I can't speak to that. I'm not in production. I wasn't directing. I had nothing to do with the writing. I just came in and I did my lines and that was it and I left.
I religiously avoid producing, writing, or directing. Like Steve just said, you know what? I walk in, I do my cues, I walk away, and they can have all the headaches.
Yeah.
Because, and all the years that I've been starting in theater, when I was 15 years old, and at the Old Globe Theater, the San Diego Opera Company where I sang for 4 years, all of these things, all I ever see with directors and stage managers, producers, are their headaches. They always walk around like, there's always something wrong and they're throwing shit like that everywhere and I'm pissed off and all this stuff. And I'm going, why would I do that? Because we come in and we work alone, we don't get to work with each other unfortunately, but we could go into the studio. In the old days, the paper script, and now we tend to like scroll up and down and stuff like that. I'm doing that, I'm done. They say, Paul St. Peter, you are done. I say, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Or that's your martini loop, which means you gotta go have a drink if you're done. And we turn around and walk away. I don't have to stay and go like, okay, I'm gonna be here till midnight mixing this stuff, and then I have to write an episode, I'll be up until 4 a.m., then I have to be there at 9 a.m. to do that episode, kind of thing. And there's nothing attractive about that to me.
Yeah.
I don't get any real artistic, food from directing someone. I like to help someone out. There's a Morgan, and I were at a con, and she had to go to her room and set up her microphone and audition there. So she was recording. We do that. I have to do that tonight, actually. Lay down some tracks and send them to a producer because they need it by tomorrow night, and I won't be there. So I'm going to be recording in my hotel room. But I went to director, and it's good to work with another actor. It's good for me as a teacher, because I also teach actors. But directing sometimes, but to be in charge of an entire project, no. I don't see it in the candy. I just see like the sticky wrappers. None of it looks attractive to me in any way, shape, or form. Bless you.
Yes.
Was there a Digimon you wanted to voice that you didn't get picked for? And what voice would you choose for them?
I still to this day am not, well, yes, I am kind of upset. But I know what the reasoning was behind it. I just didn't understand why they had to hire a different Beelzemon for season 5. Oh yeah, a little bit of a sore spot. I understand it was like a different dimension. They wanted to get a different voice for it, so whatever. I get that. But to my understanding now, that is the one Digimon character that has actually been voiced by 3 different actors.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it where they were like, because sometimes in the show, like, it's like, technically it's the same species, but it's a different one, or is it the exact same?
No, it is Beelzemon.
Okay, just
Yeah.
character over.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Beelzemon.
Yeah.
In season 5 and Digimon Fusion.
Okay.
Yeah, in Fusion he looked a bit different. Like he had some sort of holy armor or something. Hey, I'm not saying you should have done it. I'm just saying he looked a bit different.
Yeah.
Well, even then, sometimes if you're going to bring the character back and the actor is available, just first of all, as a duty that we have to you, the fans. I don't mean it's not, it's just we should or we're being nice to you. We have a duty to you as fans who are loyal and who freaking notice when they bring another actor down there. And thank you all for letting let them know through Facebook, etc. Like, why did you do them? Because somebody else the first time Leomon came back after the series was over, they brought another actor in to do it. And there was a firestorm from the fans. So when they did Digimon Try, I got called. I said, that's my role. What the, huh? What? You know, and I know who did it, and it's a good person, you know. I don't quarrel with the choice of talent, but why would you do that when I'm here?
Yeah.
I did something on a throwback, or I should say almost like one big huge flashback set of episodes for Lupin III. And I was in the movie as Momo, The Secret of Momo. Well, then they were talking, the clients are going, okay, what are we gonna bring in? Momo, and the director, Richard Epcar, said, hello, I directed him in the movie, I can get him, you can get the guy who did Momo. What are they thinking? Many times there are brand new people running the show, and they're not being disloyal. They just go in and we have roles and we need to cast them. They don't ask. They should ask you guys. You know us by name. When people come up and they you know, when they see his characters and they know he did them, and they see the pictures, that was you, I know, I remember listening, and I know the storylines, etc. That was Derek Stephen Prince. So it's pretty well known who we are. And thank God the director was Richard Epcar on Lupin, that I did originally, and he's also one of the, I think he's Zenigata in the series. And
Jigen.
a vegan, oh thank you,
Jigen.
yeah. Jigen, yeah, he's a vegan too, no, his wife is a vegan, I know that. Yeah, we'll be here all week, 2 shows on Thursday. You know, tip the veal, try your waiter. Really bad nightclub jokes. Yeah, tip the veal, try your waiter. Okay. But luckily Richard was there and he said, look, I know the actor that did it. He's like, hello, why would you go out and go through the trouble of auditioning, recasting, getting MP3s by internet, or bringing people in? Why would you do that if the guy is right here? You know? And it's not like I said, well, yeah, I want to come back to Mama, but I've quadrupled my rates. No, I haven't. We all work at the same kind of dubbing rate. So, hello, get the guy back. That's why, again, why would you not bring him back? There's no really, I can't think of a valid reason why they wouldn't do it. And they don't explain this crap to us. But there I came. Now, I will say this much about Wormmon. I have no right to the role any more than they have a right to the voice I use to do it, okay? But if they ever cast anybody as Wormmon, I will hunt the bastard down. That is my role. But yeah, specifically to answer the question, there wasn't a Digimon I could think of. That kind of question comes up more to me in Naruto. I have no problem at all with the actor that performs the role. I think it's fantastic, but I would love to have tried Madara. I would love to have tried that role. That's an excellent role. I'd love to do it. And again, all praise to the guy that does it. It's just when you see a role like that, oh, I'd like to sink my teeth into that.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I like to do that once every month. No, I can't. It's bigger than me. I feel very large. When I'm marveled, I can't fight anybody. I'm sorry, but
I noticed that a lot of voice actors, seems to be like same voice actors are on the same show. Do you guys like collaborate to try to get people involved, or just recommend like anybody kind of work on the same show?
Well, we don't have anything to do with casting.
Yeah.
So if the directors and the casting people and the producers are wanting a specific actor, I'm sure they'll probably ask for him or her. But yeah, I mean, as far as Digimon goes, I don't know that there was any. I'm trying to think. Yeah, no. Well, no. Season 3 is the only.
No, I mean like even on other shows, like say
Right.
you guys worked on Digimon, you may have worked on something else, but
Yeah.
like I noticed, like I've seen like some of the same actors who work on shows together, maybe.
It does tend to happen. I mean, when you look at stuff that Studiopolis and Bang Zoom does, you will tend to see the same actors over and over again because there are a lot of us, but yet, you know, for certain roles, they always think of specific people, just like in Funimation, you know, And Okatron, it's like, yeah, you'll hear the same actors over and over again as the same stuff.
Oh, maybe you guys got a meeting.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, union, now, the number of actors that do what we do effectively is in the low hundreds. Compared, and I don't necessarily, like you said, there are a lot of us in some senses, but a union of about 160,000 people total nationwide, there are only a few hundred of us that do this effectively. You do see a lot of the same ones working for a lot of reasons, one of which is what we do is very, very peculiar and very demanding. We have to have a set of skills that have to mesh all together effectively to work in front of a microphone and get the results we do. So they're very reluctant to just let somebody step up and do that because studio time isn't free. Your engineer isn't free, the director isn't free. And so they don't have much time to invest in giving somebody a shot. Hey, I've never done this before. Yeah, come on in. No, it doesn't work like that. Derek does a bunch of different voices, so do I. We are versatile. I get that call when a client needs something, Kurama and Kokomon the monster from the Digimon movie. I get that call and they said, Paul, they want that voice. And so I'm the guy that does a lot of that stuff. But I also bring Wormmon and I bring, 50 accents and dialects and I speak other languages and stuff like that. We bring a lot to the table and so they will use a lot of us because we can do a lot. Occasionally, I will recommend someone. If I know they're good, if I already know they're doing something and they're having trouble breaking into a studio, there's another reason they use us, again, a lot of the same people, is they know they can rely on us. I got, one was at Bang Zoom where one of the execs there is Mami Okada, and Mommy recommended me for a session where I didn't have any principal roles. It was 4 hours of a million different things to cover. And that's why they bring me in, because I can do so many things, And so because I want to go to resume, boy, I got this and and it's sort of like when I worked on Ghost in the Shell, I didn't have one named role, but my voice is all over the place. Every time they go into the station, the L train will be arriving on that's me. I'm the guy that did all those things. So I'm all over the place in Ghost in the Shell, but without a named role. But that's it. If you are a good utility man, you can do a ton of stuff. You work more.
So I love telling this story, but I'm going to lead into it with you starting off because I heard you talk about this a little bit in your other panel yesterday. So you said we're in a very peculiar business. Mm-hmm. So for the people that may not know, because this is going to be fun, for the people that may not know, tell them what normally is involved when we have to do what we do.
Okay. We will walk into a studio and have almost no background, and sometimes none at all, and sometimes we don't know what the character looks like or what voice they're asking us to do. So I will come in there, find my place, the engineer comes and sets everything up, and the popper stopper is here, the microphone's down there, and okay, can you see the screen? And usually I have the popper stopper like this. It's one reason I have my right eye is much stronger than my left. I've been working half blind my whole career, But that's how they have to set it up. So, bam, up comes the picture. And now I need to make sure that the character voice I choose is something that I can faithfully do each time. I need to bring the acting elements to it. I need to be able to do the sync. I need to be able to look down here. I need to be able to look at the timing, the start and the end code, and make all of that work and sound like what we do, human beings, or the characters. Have to be good at that sort of thing. And then they'll throw you a curve. God, he's kind of big and stocky. Can you make him Russian? Again, like that. Has to be in your front pocket at all times.
That was helpful. So, a lot of what we do today, modern day, is there's either a script in front of us, or if it's digital, it's on a screen. And we look at the script, we look up at the screen here where the original Japanese is that we have to dub. And before we actually speak, we have maybe 3 or 4 seconds to try and memorize the line that's here that we're looking at, and then look up. When we hear in our headphones, there's 3 beeps, and then there's a silent beep. and on that silent beep is where we start speaking. That's today.
Yep. In the old days.
Now,
Oh my God.
when we were doing season 2 of Digimon, and I had this brilliant idea to say, you know what? For the parts that we have to do as Pyodramon and Impmon, why don't you let Paul St. Peter do that first? And then I'll come in and go after him. Well, at that time, we didn't have 3 beeps and a silent beep. We had a screen up there. We had the easel where the script was. But the thing about it is that you had to not only memorize the line, but you had to know when you start speaking by the initial time code that is stamped next to the script, and then they would play prior to you actually speaking, and by the time when the time code started, that's when you had to start speaking. There were no beeps. So if you didn't get, and the technology that they had, oh, I'm sorry, did I say technology? What they had at that point was a button that they pressed to record, which went to a back room with a top part and a bottom part. It almost looked like a giant cassette tape. And you'd have the tape on the top that would go down, and then it would come back up to record. So if you didn't get the time code exactly when you started looking at the screen, they would make you go back and do it again.
And it wasn't 1 minute even. It wasn't ever 1 minute. You'd be, okay, and this is the way the code reads. It's reel, so let's say if you're on the second reel. Second reel, 9 minutes, 14 seconds, 3 frames. And it's filmed at 30 frames per second, okay? When I did Robotech, that was the way they did it, and it was on video. And that's why to this very day I'm still as sharp as I am doing these things, because it was before it went beep, 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 talk. And they didn't have Pro Tools to chop and compress and do all this stuff. You had to be so precise. When I went in to do one called SDF Gundam, it was beeps, everything. We had all the stuff, right? Okay, well I go in there and I did one cue that had to be out by 47. And the director, I finished up and the director said, and this was Todd A.O., so they're up above you in a room, you can't see the engineers. And he gets in the talkback, he says, was he out by 47? I said, 46 plus plus. And the engineer says, 46.24. So I beat it by 6 frames. And the director just looked up at me and said, I'm from the old days. When you had to know that, you had to be able to do it next frame. And that's one reason I'm so happy I did that, because now, as sharp as we are with the technology we have now, we work really fast. It's I'd say, comparatively easy compared to what we used to have to do. And they would be like, okay, and if the cue was at 9 minutes, 18 seconds, and 6 frames, it would go 1908, 6, and then it would go plus, because it was really onto the next frame, but not kind of, sort of, really. And so we would do all this stuff, and it's like Derek describes it. You had to be so sharp on that sort of thing, and then they would have to rewind the videotape, and it wouldn't stop precisely. It's like on your VCR at home, when you run, freeze right there, and it goes like that, and the counter keeps going. And here we are trying to do that, and as actors, we got sharp as a razor doing that. So the young ones these days, they don't understand how easy it is. That was before we had fire. It feels like it, but when I think back now to Robotech, I'm like, good God, how did we survive? And we turned out these great products. And now if we'd had what we had back in those days, Robotech, oh my God, everything would be just an outstanding series, but still even better,
Yes, sir.
Okay, I asked you this yesterday, so I'll ask you this today. What was the most cringeworthy line you had to say in character?
Cringeworthy?
Yeah,
I had heard that word before yesterday.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that one again.
No, I won't do that one.
I missed it, I want to hear it.
The most cringeworthy line that I had to say.
In character. for Digimon.
The thing is, I don't even remember the line per se. I remember the scene, which I didn't even know what I was getting into when they asked me to come in and record. But it was for this movie called Kite Liberator. And I played these twins, these bad guy twins that liked sodomizing girls. And I had no freaking clue I was going in to do that when I went in to record it. And like, I can't even remember what the lines were. I think I may have blocked them.
For the sake of your own sanity.
On purpose. But it was just, there was like this one scene where like one of them was watching the other one, and it was like, you know, the girl's like, you know, like, it was
Muzzle or
it
something.
was awful.
So what about for Digimon then?
Yeah, we do get called in to do stuff like that, and once in a while they will bring the actor in and not tell them. I did the one I talked about before where I played Mouse Man. The ladies' phone club. They didn't tell me that when I walked in, they said, okay, here's the first scene, and it's two girls naked and getting it on. And the director said, yeah, we're doing porn. It was really soft porn. It wasn't anything, you know, like super graphic or anything like that. But I went, okay, and where does Mouse Man fit into all this? That's a whole other story, but it's kind of like that too, where they might be a little reluctant to tell the actors what's going on. And you know, we do have the right to turn around and say, you know what, I got a problem with this. And you hope they don't hold it against you, but they surprised me, not the other way around. In the back, I guess.
Yeah, so I know that you guys have done some game work as well, kind of background a little bit toward like the process of it. Is the process different for doing game? And what's that like compared to
Very much so.
Yeah.
Most of what we do as a character, for instance, when I do Kurama in Naruto, lines of dialogue, and we see this, and some right there even now still, some of them are still on paper, but that's getting to be rarer, you know. I'm going to be doing my lines as they relate to Naruto or whatever character, or I'll be up there going, you know, my various kinds of things. When we do a game, it's different. We're doing commands, we're doing cues, we're doing effort reacts. There's not a whole lot of dialogue scenes. I don't get to be with Naruto and do that sort of thing. And the screaming element sometimes, which can be brutal on the throat, that is a whole other demand too. The games ask us to do things, and there are things in the games that require we work differently. Absolutely, not completely different. You're still the character, and sometimes you still have lines of dialogue. But when they want you to be we'll do this right now. Okay, Steve, this is an effort reacts. Give me 3 small, 3 medium, and 3 large, and rolling. Okay, great, and then we've got, and you have about 50 or more similar cues like that. It just goes on and on and on and on. No, it was, no.
The other element, as it relates to OJ, there are some elements when we are re-recording something that have to be timed because they've already done the graphics on it. And for those particular stuff, what we have to do is we have to listen to the original Japanese, and then whatever line we're doing, we have to pace it so that it matches exactly the pacing for the original. Otherwise, it won't fit. So there's stuff like that that happens.
Yeah, those technical demands based on, first of all, when they put something in the original Japanese, and they'll always write the OJ, but sometimes there's nothing there that says NIOJ, not an original Japanese. And we're adding things. And that might be problematic because the character's face is seen. And he will do something like this. Now, most American animators, directors, if they see anything, they put something there. And if there's nothing there and they don't, I will ask, do you want something for that? And maybe they didn't see it at the first time around. The timing thing is brutal though, because they will translate a line into English, and it's simply, plain and simply longer than the original Japanese words. And so you've got to go faster. And sometimes we can trim a word or two, but you have to really make it fit in there. And they'll say, oh, okay, you had 3 seconds, that was in, Pro Tools, 3 and like that. Okay, so one more time, and we can press it, no, do it one more time. So those demands are quite a bit different too.
I'll share a fun fact with you. I know we're kind of getting away from Digimon a little bit, but fun fact for you guys to know. There is one exception to that. When we did Kingdom Hearts, what they will do is they have a recorder that is actually taping our mouth. So what they can do in some instances where you are playing the game is you'll actually see our mouth instead of the animated version that they did in Japanese to make the words fit.
Cool.
They used to do that in the 50s and 60s. You'll see some of those old cartoons. One was called Planet Patrol. And all of the characters would just have the face like this, and there'd be a mouth on there going, whoa, blah, 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 like that. And once in a while, the eyes would move. But I remember those because it was such a kick. The only thing that wasn't animated were the lips.
Yes.
And then they'd have a face this big and these little tiny lips.
Yeah, like Synchrobox stuff.
Yeah, old style, Digimon, yes.
So to go back to Digimon, a lot of the charm for season 2's done before me was actually like the dynamic between Ken and Wormmon. But obviously, like you guys did record them separated. Did your depictions of the characters have any influence on each other, or if they didn't, would you change anything if they could, or anything like that?
Well, I was ecstatic, of which everyone is ecstatic with the work that we did, quote unquote, together. There was one where Derek had recorded first. Sometimes you're the first one in, and you're acting with nothing. You're acting with nobody, Or as we say in Shakespeare, when you're on stage working with something and you're supposed to have another actor acting with phantoms. Okay. That's why even if you're at a film audition, they'll put a third assistant stage manager saying, "No, you must respect me. I'm a woman and I have rights." That's at least there's somebody you're talking to rather than making up see the face. But there was one particular one where it was the episode where you created a mechanical monster. It wasn't digital. It was a mechanical monster. You didn't know how to control it. And so, might have been, yeah. So the problem was he's going around blowing everything up. And now Derek had already recorded, so I was able to work with the pace, and we had probably one of my favorite exchanges between us as characters was blam, 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 he's trying to go like that, and boom, boom, and all this stuff going on, explosions, terrible stuff. And I said, "At least he's a good shot." The way it recorded, even the director was Jeff Nimoy.
Oh, at the time.
Yeah, and Jeff said, he said, "I don't even have to edit that because it worked like this." He says, "At least he's a good shot." Oh, shut up. And so that was when you have good writing and good directing, and you're working with good actors that give you that stuff, it's much easier. That one was perfect. Jeff just said, "I don't have to touch that. That was perfect." He's a good shot. Oh, shut up.
Do we all know season 2 of Digimon?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to spoil anything by talking about some stuff in there. Okay, so to answer your question, Nora, the desert scene.
Yeah.
So Paul had already recorded, and with the voice that he has already, especially when the desert scene I'm talking about is when Wormmon dies.
Wormmon dies? Oh yeah, go ahead.
And then,
I'm almost over it, okay.
and then Ken is left there as he's like de-digitizing, and his hands are like left like this, and what he was able to bring to that before I went in to record. I could never re-record what I did when you guys actually heard it. Like, they only recorded it once because they seriously could not go back and re-record that particular part, because literally like everybody in the studio, and we were in Santa Monica.
Yeah, that was,
because the flood and all that stuff.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
LA, we do a lot. We have 4 seasons. We have fire, flood, earthquake, and riot.
Yeah. And so we were already in an environment that we weren't, I wouldn't say we weren't uncomfortable with, but it wasn't the normal environment that we were used to recording in. And so that had a layered effect on it. The fact that he did such a great job coming in and already recording that particular part. So I had a lot to work with. But that particular part where he de-digitizes and Ken is just bawling, that was not fake. That was like 100% real. And you could not go back and recreate something like that, even if you tried. And what I think got everybody was, after, he started walking off slowly and he's still sobbing, It's like, and they're trying to say, Ken, come back. And it's like, he's just, it's like, after that was done recording, literally everybody, the engineer, the director at the time was Mary. She had already taken over at that point. And they had a couple of other people that were helping out, but like, you could not even hear a pin drop. It was just like, and then Mary said, let's take a break. It was that, like, yeah.
That kind of gutsy stuff, and again, I tell people, voice acting is not easy. You have to be an actor to make that work. Because you can tell when somebody's just reading. We brought the oomph, we brought the quote-unquote humanity to the characters that we did. That's why they resonate so well with you guys, to this very day. And people come up to us and say, this was my childhood. It's amazing when you get to meet attendees like you guys. Somebody came up to us at a Cowboy Bebop signing, and this one girl was talking to Bo Billingsley, who played Jet, and she said, Cowboy Bebop saved my life. Sorry. Should have kept it on Digimon, damn it. But she said, I was going to commit suicide. And Bo just choked up right there. He just stopped, She said, I was going to commit suicide, but the work you guys did in that series, something resonated, worked. I will not give up. That's what worked for me. But the kind of, again, the acting work that we do, and even people go, oh, cartoons, kid shows, learn them, find out. If you go back and you look at those shows that you grew up with, they made a difference in your life, and you guys tell us that, and it's invaluable to us.
A lot of fans did not like the ending of the 2nd season. What's your thoughts on it?
Seriously? Yo, Lee? Kari, yes! But not Yo, Lee. Come on. That's just, makes me want to,
Your thoughts?
Echo that gag. And put a filter on it, and but I mean, kind of along those lines. There are times when things are handled beautifully, when they end a series or end, a season where there's going to be more stuff coming. But when they end a particular storyline, you can do that well. Other times they screw it up. That was an example of the screw up.
Yeah, that was a wimpy ending. That was a wimpy ending. They were just like trying to wrap it up, and it was just like you could so tell.
Yeah.
How should it have ended, in your opinion?
Everyone died.
Wow. This would be a pre-NDA because it never happened. But.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Not that though. I mean, it's like it would have been better if they didn't, because they didn't do that in season 1. They didn't do it in season 3. But for some reason in season 2, they felt like they had to tell you what happened to the kids 20 years later. Why?
Yeah, that's it. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. It's like, well, what purpose did that serve? And
Okay,
it's
and
like,
then 20 years later, this is not. and all of us are like the head spinning around like,
Yeah.
huh? There are ways to do things, you know, to affirm, to wrap up, to change, to finish, or whatever you want to do that, okay? Or if things are still left hanging, well, there's a reason, okay, this stuff's going to come back or whatever. But when you do something like that with this ridiculous little bit of expositional material and start telling a story that just doesn't seem to relate to anything, no, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah.
And we had good writers on that show. I don't know what went wrong there.
I don't either.
Just in the back.
Okay, I was gonna say like a good example would have been like from the beginning. I know you only did a little bit of work in that, but like they moved like 6 months later and said, you know, here's where everyone is. That's a good example. They could have just said like, you know, here's where everyone was at the start of the next school year. Yeah, if they were gonna do something like that. And
Yeah,
then the
there are
question-
transitions like that, of course, that do work. And yeah, they're kids and they came back from summer vacation.
But the actual question I had was, okay, was there ever like any like goofy or like just really funny things that you guys did to each other in the booths, just like a good prank you pulled on each other?
For Digimon, it was pretty much a breakneck pace to get things done, so we didn't clown around that much. But yeah, there were a couple that I did. There are examples in other series that I've done. You know, Digimon, in my particular case anyway, every time I went in there, they were rushing people in and rushing them out, so I didn't take much time to screw around, you know, and I wanted to. You know, I don't know if you had the same experience when you were working, if they were just, it's like, wait, we'll power these out, and then the other actor is coming in as you're leaving.
Yeah.
You know, it does work like that, so we don't get much time to mess around.
I did have a lot of fun though. It's gonna sound weird with myself. But when we were doing season 2, there would be a couple of episodes where the Digimon Emperor would be talking to Demon. The canyon episode in particular, where they're all like chained to the canyon. And I think that's when Mary first started directing. And I kind of blew her away because they normally, when you go in and you record one particular character, you finish that character's lines, then you go back and then you do whatever the character they want you to do. And because I wanted to play off of myself, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do my best to just look at the lines and look up. And you know how that was at that point in time, which was so challenging as it was. But we managed to do it, where I would be looking at both of the lines, and then I'd say, just leave the mic open and I'll leave a space, so that you could record both characters. So she did, and it was like, I don't normally do that, but okay. And it was fun. It was a blast.
It was a blast, and
Yeah.
yeah. You're burning to ask a question, I can tell. Yes, you Nintendo. I can see.
Oh, me?
You know, I do that every once in a while. You, I can tell you want to
I
ask.
can ask a bunch of questions.
I'm just
I don't
enjoying
want to be
this.
rude.
Okay. Yes.
Well, so with the last question, you teased the shenanigans you had with other productions you did. Now I'm curious. So about how.
Well, it wasn't Digimon. That's what we did a show called Battle Beat 'em On.
Oh yeah.
And this is one of the characters, again, people don't believe it's me. Okay, there was this big, huge, fluffy kitty. And his name was Armada. And this was a case where, am I going to do something, you know, kind of goofy or something like that? But then I looked at the lines, and it was, in fact, the character was very smart, very sophisticated. Foolish, but sophisticated. So like there would be one line where the kids did something really well and they had my character say, "Booyah!" And I said, no, that's not Armada. So I didn't even say anything, I just said, "Splendid!" And the director said, "Thank you." Because they will write these things sometimes with their idea of the comedy or the whatever in mind and forget that there's a character involved. Well, there was this one, and this is to your question. The kids and I were supposed to get into some place so that they could do the beat 'em on battles. So I can't remember if we weren't invited or something like that, but we found a tunnel. We were going to go underneath the tunnel. Now they told me that there was another actor, his name is Kirk Thornton, he knows Kirk. Whenever Kirk has a rehearsal take, he never rehearses. He always says a funny line. He always throws an ad lib in there. One example was, "You're coming with us." And his line was supposed to be, "And I refuse," okay? So the part came up in his rehearsal and he said, "You're coming with us," and he said, "No friggin' way." So I thought, okay, well, I never do that, but I'm gonna do that this time. Okay, the line was, we get to this tunnel, and my character, my big kitty, sticks his butt in the camera, and his tail doing this. But he sticks his butt, and if you were actually shooting live, we say the same thing, it's the same shots, wide shots, etc. So he sticks his butt in the camera, and he looks over at the kids, and he says, "Follow me, kids." Well, I thought, well, if Kirk can do it, I'm going to do it. So I got to the rehearsal take, and actually this was going to be a take we were going to use. So they got up, he sticks his butt up there, I turn and I go, "Now sniff my ass." We had to stop for half an hour. And for the rest of the week, they told every other, they played that for him that one. But I thought, take that, Kirk Thornton. Now sniff my ass. Time for maybe one more?
Yeah. Me or?
Or somebody new. I appreciate that, but yeah.
Mark?
Not really a Digimon question so much as a question for both of you. Obviously, you've like been to a bunch
Just
of
friends.
events and had a bunch of journeys. Did you ever have anything just like particularly crazy happen to you? Like in terms of your like adventures and journeys to different conventions and stuff? Not necessarily just the conventions, but just in your life. Something you felt that was very exciting.
Well, exciting, you could say this. I'm an emergency responder with the Los Angeles Fire Department. And in the space of about 4 months, I deployed to 2 fires, and in all the years I've been doing this, I never had, okay? So the first time we're just a rear echelon support unit, okay? So the first time, I was there, and there's a lake right there with the staging area, and these huge firefighting helicopters come over, drop a hose, and fill up. And so I'm grabbing stuff and like, ooh, shiny. I was like a tourist in New York, those buildings, right? Now the exciting was the second one. The first was the Latuna Canyon fire. The second one was the Creek fire. This was exciting because I deployed there, and our first job as CERT members was to go out and stamp out fires. Because there were enough brush fires and sparks and embers going, we would have been surrounded and possibly died. So, I mean, like I say, in all the years I've been doing this, I've never had anything truly exciting happen. I got there and they said, "Sir, get over here." I said, "You too, you too, you too." And I had a broken foot at the time. When I saw what was going on the TV, and we got the emails, and my battalion coordinator said, "All hands on deck." Normally they call it, "Just get out there." So I thought, wow. I said, but those guys are out there risking their lives. I'm not staying home because my foot hurts, So I got there, so I'm out there trying to stamp the fires with my foot, going, ow, ow, ow. So exciting, that's a good word for it, yeah.
I won't be able to tell my story. Well, it's too long. But we really appreciate you guys coming out and supporting Digimon. I always tell everybody, if you guys are not necessarily from Florida, but maybe you're visiting from other states, is anybody in that scenario here that's here today? You guys are all from Florida?
No.
Tell other conventions in Florida, because I'm sure there are plenty of you all over the state that would love it if something like this was possible, where you could get 2 actors from the same show together and be able to talk about it, as well as other shows that we've been in as well. So, talk to your conventions, because they listen to you guys.
Absolutely.
More than they listen to us.
Go to their Facebook and let them know this is what we want.
Yeah.
We love the 20th anniversary idea, be able to get here. And as you see, Digimon fans are legion, and you're very loyal. 20 years later, you guys still know it and think about it. And we love you. Mwah.
Thank you, guys.
as Izuku. Someone talk to me? Kasai. Like the League of Legends champion. Not the same person. Kasai as Izuku Midoriya from Boku no Hero Academia. Next, we have Claire as Len from Sword Art Online GGO.